She used to be a good mother, sister, and excellent in her work. She was a waitress. She worked in a famous bar in New York. She left work at 3 a.m. and walked to her house. It was around 15 minutes, but this night she left later because she attended to some customers that they were opposed to leaving the place because they had drunk a lot. When she finally come out to home, she felt very tired. It had been a heavy day, but she only wanted to arrive home and rest. But when she started to walk, she noticed that the street was not illuminated like all days. She continued walking a little confused and watching around, and later the lights began to blink until they were completely turned off. The street was totally dark and silent. Cassie stopped a moment waiting for the light come on again. She starts to have a little afraid, but she tries head calm. But they passed 1, 2, 5 minutes, and all was more mysterious. Is true that nothing was seen. For this reason Cassie did not move, and only she sit down in the sidewalk closest, and while more passed to time, she had more afraid. She wanted to call her friend Leah, but this was useless because she ran out of credit on her cell phone. Each time the night became more mysterious, a mist began to impede the visibility of the streets. It was impossible to return to her work. She was halfway home. She kept walking, and it was becoming more and more obvious that someone was following her, so she accelerated her pace. It was in vain her attempt to flee. Who followed her hit her in the head, making her unconscious, was taken by the arms and dragged to an abandoned van. There tied her hands, feet, and mouth, so that he could not escape or scream, and thus raise any suspicion. Everything seemed to be a kidnapping and attempted rape by a mentally ill man. In fact, Cassie Williams was reportedly detained by a woman, Leah, her best friend, who was apparently under the influence of drug use. Leah wanted to see Cassie Williams suffer because she started torturing her. What reason would Leah have for committing such atrocity with her best friend? The investigation revolves around a revenge of love, but the way in which Leah tortured and dismembered Cassie with such hatred made one think many things. He repeatedly stabbed her to death, had mutilated fingers, and a lack of hair in some areas of the head. Surveillance cameras on the street caught Leah following Cassie since she got off work, as well as the exact moment she hit her with a metal tube on the head. At the beginning of the morning, Edwin, a neighbor from the street where Cassie lived, went out for a run as he used to do. When he noticed that a strange smell was emanating from the abandoned van, he approached, and when he looked out the side window he found the atrocious crime scene. At first glance he did not recognize Cassie since her body was actually tortured. Edwin gave notice to the authorities, and these in turn to Cassie's family. The authorities are investigating Leah's whereabouts and the motives that led her to commit the crime. The police at the crime scene found disgusting evidence of the crime. It wasn't difficult to find the culprit. The first and only culprit was Leah. She was trying to flee the country, but the cops saw her on the cameras. She stole a car and was driving down the highway with directions to the airport. The agent in charge of the case, he didn't know about Leah, but his partners informed the cops immediately tried to arrest Leah. They drove on the highway until they met Leah, but it was too late. Leah was afraid. She didn't understand what had happened and tried to call her family, but nobody answered her. It was too late. She was tired and stopped at the side of the highway. She hated Cassie because she went out with Leah's boyfriend because Leah killed Cassie. After almost 1 hour of searching, the police found Leah's car. They investigated the area, but they only found her tennis shoes and her bag. Where could she be? Days later, the police received a call from a woman. Everything indicated that it was Leah because she said that she did not want to kill her friend Cassie but that someone had forced her. The police tracked the place of the call and they found Leah. When they arrived at the place, they found Leah dead. The same day that Leah died, forensic doctors performed the autopsy and discovered that Leah was drugged at the time of her death. The people investigating Cassie's death found it was hard to believe that Leah was dead, because only she had the answer to why she had killed Cassie. Today Cassie is remembered for what she was: a good mother, sister and excellent woman. Leah, nobody remembers her. She was a killer and New York does not remember killers.